Everybody. Good afternoon and welcome. Exciting episode of Late for the Party on Anchor FM. How y'all doing today? I am your host, Melodious, aka Coverboy, the modern Marvel, also known as the Madman Harry LaBrea. That's right, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Late for the Party. We are going to get into a quick-fire review of the latest Marvel MCU film, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, I'm not going to get into any spoilers or anything like that because I want people to actually go see this movie, and I'm just going to give share my thoughts. I must say that this movie is actually very, very good. Very, very good indeed. Considering the fact that this film is definitely, it has a different feel from most of the Marvel films that's been out. They kind of run at the same, how most of the Marvel films put a niche idea of how their films are being done, which honestly, I mean, it comes to play with most of the Marvel stuff that's already out. But considering the fact that Shang-Chi in general, considering the fact that it more has that martial arts, like it has the martial arts feel, and it has a beautiful way of how it's telling its story, and it's very cool. And the guy, Simu, so the guy playing Shang-Chi is dope as hell. Aquafina, even though as goofy as she is, can be in most of the movies that she's been in, but she actually plays her role very well. As Katie, forgot her name already, but the one thing that really kind of stood, like, other than the fact that Shang-Chi, the story was about him, but it was about his dad. And I love how everything they kind of retconned everything that was going on with the Mandarin and like Iron Man 3 and whatnot. And you'll understand what I'm talking about when you finally see it. If you actually been following all the Marvel, the MCU films from Iron Man 1 to 3 all the way till now, I mean, honestly, I feel like Shang-Chi is probably like the best film, hands down, definitely one of the top. But I mean, it's just very compelling. I mean, considering the fact that, like, for those who may or may not know, Shang-Chi is one of the first Asian comic book characters to actually have his own comic book in Marvel back in the day. And for avid readers like me, like, who's been reading comic books for decades, a lot of folks don't really realize that Shang-Chi actually existed. So that being said, I mean, and it's funny because there's so much ground that a lot of people may cover or may uncover that hasn't covered, even in the time span of even me reading comic books. So, but bottom line, overall, it's still a dope. I mean, it's still a dope character. I mean, it's funny because Shang-Chi is not. I mean, even though he had his own comic book, kind of like Blade, it's like, but he wasn't like a well-known character. But they give you the ability to actually care for this character. And honestly, that's probably one of the cool parts. I even liked how they deal with how the Mandarin rings are, like in the comic books. Like, they usually have him, like, he's wearing rings on his fingers, but in this they have the rings that you would see in Wing Chun, in that caliber where it's a more or less of a Chinese martial art. So, but it's dope because he has like the 10 rings on his hand, and like he can do all the techniques with him, which is dope. And like I said, the dad, he plays a dope ass role. I mean, I'm sorry, like, and it's funny because most of the story revolves around him and how Shang-Chi's upbringing kind of plays a part in his father's development, and also the relationship that they had with his mother. And it's a very a heartwarming story, and shoot, I can't front. I mean, I was tearing up on some of the stuff, and it's not even like, oh, you simping right now or anything like that. No, the story is actually pretty damn good to where it's like, wow, it's pulling some heartstrings on, like, family, love and loss, you know, the stuff that you develop in the process and things that you might have left behind. There's a lot of stuff to it that's actually pretty good. So, the action, I'm not even going to stun about the action. The action is off the hook. I mean, one of the guys who worked on the action on this also worked on the original Matrix movie. So, like, if you see certain things that look a little similar, then you'll kind of understand where most of that is coming from. So, but yeah, the action was pretty off the hook. But I think when some of the action was going on, but I think in like some of the later action, it just became more CGI in some aspects. But I mean, it didn't really take away too much away from the action. Well, it kind of did, but not enough to where like it didn't stand like, oh my god, like it just took away so much. No, it did what it did what it had to. I think but the action, but it does take up in the high gear. Some of the action, it kind of slows down in the second segment because you're starting to see like the characters, like you're starting to see the characters' whole motivation behind everything and how far it's going to take them. So, like I said, I'm trying not to really get into too many spoilers, but so far it's doing very well. Like, I think it took over uh, the box office of Fast Nine's, where Fast Nine was, and it's doing pretty well for itself for a character nobody knows of in the comic book industry. So, I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. It's actually doing its just. So, hey. But either way, man. But it's a wonderful movie. I'm going to go see it again, definitely. Definitely, I'm going to give this one a solid 9. This is definitely a dope film. Like I said, there's no film that's going to be that perfect. But, I mean, considering the fact that I give it a solid 9, considering the fact that it is a very compelling, emotional, family-driven story. A lot of it's more of like a love story and how the father goes through what was going through. So it's dope, and I'm gonna call him the Mandarin because honestly, it's like the actor playing him, like it was. I mean, it's not every day you feel for the villain of the story, and honestly, it's like for him to be that guy, like he has his motivation and why, and you really can't be mad at him for doing what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, how far would you go if you understood what was going on in front of you and the stuff that happened when you tried to go away from the situation you were in before, and it kind of comes back to haunt you. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of dope. That's actually kind of hardcore. But yeah, man, seriously, I feel like I said, this movie is definitely a worth watch. Absolutely. I mean, if people been dissing it on Rotten Tomatoes, only gave it a 94. It's actually very, very good. I think that percentage is kind of skewed at best because maybe a lot of people just actually don't understand, like they don't like comic book movies, or the fact that I don't even look at it like as being particularly a comic book movie. I actually see it as a actual movie. If it wasn't labeled with Marvel in general, it's a very good movie, very compelling good movie. So, man, I must say, like, it's definitely worth watching. Absolutely. Either way, I give it a 9. So that's it. I'm gonna give it a shout out on that one, you guys. This is this is the quick fire review. I'm about to say word around the campfire. I got too many fires and everything right now. This is the quick fire review on Late for the Party on Anchor FM, also Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So either way, you guys, please like, comment, share, support the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, support it and subscribe. Also hit those likes. Also tell a friend, tell a foe, let everybody know this is how we go. So, on to that scenario. Oh, man, I actually got the rhyme down. All right, cool. But either way, also check out all the cool merch on teespring.com or now spring.com, where you get all the cool Late for the Party merch and all that. It'll be in my link tree. The link tree will be in the description below. God, it's fucking hot with these lights on. It'll be in the description in my bio on my YouTube channel or on my social media. You could check it out on my link tree, where it connects you straight to Teespring, or I should say spring.com. And you can see everything else. Also, check out my social media. If there's any comments or anything like that, leave it on my Instagram or anything that I do on my social media, you guys. Either way, also check out the Twitch as well, where I do gameplays and everything online. So, if you want, I also do that from time to time here on YouTube as well. So, like I said, you guys, I play new school, old school, try to get into it all and do everything. So, either way, you guys, I am your host, Melodious, aka Coverboy.